I would like to call this meeting to order. Welcome to meeting number 16 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights. Pursuant to the order of reference of November 18, 2025, the committee is meeting to continue its study of Bill C-14, an act to amend the Criminal Code, the Youth Criminal Justice Act, and the National Defence Act, bail and sentencing. And this morning we have two panels of witnesses. In the first hour, I would like to welcome online, we have from the Canadian Urban Transit Association, Michael Atlas is the Honourary Counsel, so which takes me to Mr. Atlas. You're online. You have the floor.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chairs, and members of the committee. I am Michael Atlas, Honorary Counsel for the Canadian Urban Transit Association, CUTA, and I'm also General Counsel for the Toronto Transit Commission. I'd like to begin by thanking you for allowing us to appear before the Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights. We cannot talk about national public safety without talking about safety on public transit. That is why I'm here today to ask you to amend the Criminal Code, and more particularly Section 269.01, to protect all transit workers from assaults by expanding the current protections which currently only apply to transit operators. As the government seeks to build a stronger Canada by amending the Criminal Code, this is an opportunity to address a long-standing issue for transit workers. Public transit is a shared public space, and it often reflects broader societal challenges, including the mental health crisis, substance use, and economic hardships. Across Canada, transit workers are routinely on the front lines of these realities, and unfortunately, they experience violence and harassment while carrying out their essential duties of providing critical transportation and mobility to the communities they serve. These incidents are growing in severity, affecting employees across every part of the transit system, including operators, station staff, maintenance workers, fare enforcement personnel, customer service agents, and transit security. For example, in 2025, assaults against TTC employees rose to a high of 40 incidents in one single month. That is 40 employees who may be your friends, family members, who left home, came to work, and were assaulted just for doing their job. With the support of the City of Toronto and the Province of Ontario, TTC has been making investments in safety by expanding frontline presence, partnering to launch the Toronto Police Services Neighbourhood Community Officer Program, increasing visibility in stations, and more. We've seen the impact of these investments as customers' feelings of personal safety have risen to 62%, which is a 6-point increase from the previous year. However, assaults against transit workers continue to be a serious issue, impacting the well-being of our essential transit workers, not just in Toronto, but across the country. One assault against a transit employee is one too many. In response, the Canadian Urban Transit Association established a Transit Safety Task Force to examine the root cause of violence on transit and identify practical solutions. In 2023, the task force released a comprehensive set of recommendations focused on strengthening safety measures, improving incident responses, supporting workers after traumatic events, and working with governments and community partners to address broader societal factors. A key finding from this work is the need for clear legal recognition and protection for all transit workers. Currently, under Section 269.01 of the Criminal Code, assaults or threats against transit operators are treated as an aggravating factor at sentencing. However, this protection applies very narrowly, limited only to vehicle operators directly employed in driving a bus, train, or other transit vehicle. It does not extend to the many other frontline transit employees who interact with the public daily and face similarly risks of assault. Our ask is very simple. Expand Section 269.01 to include all transit workers who in the performance of their duties and not limit its application just to transit operators. In May 2024, Member of Parliament Bardash Chagar introduced Bill C-395, which passed first reading, but unfortunately did not advance further. The bill proposed a targeted amendment to Section 269.01 to strengthen sentencing provision for assaults or threats against all transit workers. This change, replacing the term transit operator with transit workers, is simple but significant. It would ensure that all transit workers, not only vehicle operators, are formally recognized as facing elevated risk while performing their essential public duties. All transit workers play a vital role in ensuring the safety of customers and making customers feel safe. They are often the first on the scene during assaults, medical emergencies, and other crises. They protect passengers, they de-escalate volatile situations, and they call for assistance. Assaults against transit workers have serious physical and psychological impacts. They contribute to burnout and make it more difficult for transit agencies to recruit and retain workers. Other frontline workers receive explicit legal recognition when assaulted in the course of their duties. Transit workers face comparable risks, yet the criminal code does not consistently reflect that reality. This issue has received broad political support, with members from both government and the opposition recognizing the importance of protecting transit workers. Safe public transit is essential to our economy, our communities, and our climate objectives, and it depends on a workforce that feels safe and supported. There's also strong support from transit unions, including the Amalgamated Transit Union. Workers have been clear. Legal clarity matters. Explicit recognition of their role and the risks they face reinforce that violence against them will be treated with seriousness it deserves. Ultimately, this amendment is more than sentencing. It is about confidence. Transit workers need to know that the law is on their side before an incident occurs. We encourage the government to take this opportunity to protect workers, because when transit workers are safe, Canadians are safe. In closing, an amendment to Bill C-14 that would extend Section 269.01 protections to all transit workers would be practical and a measured step towards improving transit worker safety. It reflects the lived experience of workers across Canada and would strengthen public transit systems nationwide.